What are you seeing in terms of competition flooding in? Is that what we're talking about here? It's more competition. Everybody's conducting research and development. Everybody's trying to come up with a competitor.
Yep. So it's an exciting time to be in the industry. We're seeing a lot of innovation in new therapy areas. Obesity is one of the ones that's come up on a massive trajectory in the last 3 years. 3 years ago, the amount of the pipeline that was expected from obesity drugs was about 1%, and now it's about 25%. So it's a massive part of the industry writ large. And most companies, whether they were in it from the start, so the two companies just mentioned, or whether you're trying to catch up, are pursuing a lot of innovation and investment in this market at the moment. And what that's driving is returns for the future being projected to increase.
As we talk about those returns, it felt as though we were in one direction on GLP-1 drugs, and now they're the rivals. How do we think about that market broadening out or competing against itself?
So I think the market will continue to mature, as you say. There will be new entrants. Two of the players who have been there for quite some time have got a great amount of clinical data that they're excited about using, partly to identify different types of patients who might respond in different ways, but also looking at investigations that might expand the indications of those drugs now. So at the moment they're in obesity and type 2 diabetes, but we may see cardiovascular and other areas being investigated as well, and that's very exciting for them and the rest of the industry. There's
no doubt there's been some big hype cycle, but we don't know how far that continues at this stage, whether insurance companies get on board, whether the use cases far exceed some of the risks that you can avoid major diseases if you take these drugs, and it becomes worthwhile for health systems to adopt. I mean, that's still early days in terms of that thinking versus the negative side. So what is the run rate as we talk about the market share of this industry?
So for those types of drugs, that the market share is expected to increase over time, partly as new indications are developed and approved by governments and also by payers, interestingly. These drugs need to be approved for payment as much as by regulators. So overall, we're seeing a lot of innovation in the whole market. Obviously, there are other markets other than obesity. Oncology remains the biggest market in the industry right now. And it's probably twice the size of the obesity market in our projected returns. So we are seeing a lot of growth in other areas. Obesity is one, but there are lots of other therapy areas that people are innovating and expecting to over the period.
Colin, the biggest killers in the world are cancer, COPD, stroke, heart diseases, the traditional Western diseases, which are killing more people than COVID would ever kill.
Yep.
How much is expensive research into these areas going to fall foul of actually the extraordinary benefits that semaglutide, GLP-1s, etc., are giving to those who are at risk from comorbidities?
Yep. So we are seeing, obviously, investment going into this area of obesity. As you say, it is one of the big factors of morbidity in the world. But there are others, and we are seeing most of our pharma clients at the moment focusing onto areas oncology, internal medicine, inflammation. So there's quite a lot of interest in other areas. And one thing we're saying in the report is don't just get stuck in one therapy area. Be bold, go look for other therapy areas and try and then produce high impact drugs.